register for this event. Is that correct?
Correct. And you're live on
And
Facebook.
we are live. Wonderful.
All right.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. We're so excited that you're joining us, and we hope that you'll share this broadcast with your friends and networks now. My name is Sue Blythe. I work with We the World and the We campaign at we.net. We the World is a global coalition building organization with 11 campaigns to transform our world. And you can learn more and take action with us by going to we.net. So one of those campaigns is the Campaign for Environment. And in that campaign, we have a climate collaboratory that is a pilot project of We the World and the University of Florida Extension. And what we've been doing is creating a collaborative storytelling adventure. And one of the stories that we're telling is that we are going to reverse global warming. And we're going to know all about it by the year 2050. And the way we're going to know about it is because we're tracking everything that happens on this beautiful planet of ours on a program called En-ROADS Climate Action Simulator. And today, my friend Esther Fick is here to show us how that works. And Esther, tell us a little about you and what you're bringing to us today.
Oh, thanks, Sue, for your very kind words. I'm Esther Fick. I live in Dauphin, Manitoba, Canada, and I have been member of the Citizens Climate Lobby for about 1.5 years. And as part of that, someone invited me to check out the En-ROADS simulator. And I've played several games since then and have become a climate ambassador, which means somebody who's been trained in giving, as hosting these games. And so this is a workshop / game where we learn about how to decrease the temperature to below 1.5, or to keep it below 1.5 globally, and by 2100. So without further ado, I'd like to start the game.
So may I interrupt quickly?
Absolutely.
To just invite people. Right now we have people coming in on Facebook.
Okay.
We also have a Zoom link, which we can put into the Facebook page. If those of you who are on Facebook would like to join our interactive workshop, so you can actually play around with some of these levers on this En-ROADS control panel, then please come on in, and we will certainly welcome more of you if you would like to come and play with us. Thanks.
So we're going to be using breakout rooms once in a while to discuss various issues, and our tech is going to put you into breakout rooms randomly, and then you'll come back and share some of what you have discussed in the chat. So I hope you all have access to those levers. So En-ROADS, and I'll just pull that up. So when you go to sorry, I need to share my screen. And when you go to En-ROADS and put that in, this will come up. And so you just click on the simulator. And then this will come up and you can close this window, and there you have the En-ROADS simulator with 18 levers that we can manipulate. So for example, I can just use this and you can see some of the effects that that has when I manipulate those things. So it's a simulation model from Climate Interactive and MIT Sloan Sustainability Initiative, which is grounded in the best available science on the climate impacts and solutions. And 23 Nobel laureates, as well as over 3,500 climate change specialists, meteorologists, etc., have been a part of developing this simulator. And it's a global model that can help us determine what actions that can address climate change in a good way. So here we have the global sources of primary energy. And you can see down here that coal is this color, and oil and gas, renewables, bioenergy, nuclear, and new zero. And over here is the business as usual climate change prediction that will happen in 2100 if we do nothing, if this is business as usual. And here is the net emissions for greenhouse gases. So if we take minimal additional action or no action at all, this is what will happen. And this is Celsius and this is in Fahrenheit. So we have already heated up the planet to over 1 degree and are headed for even more dangerous warming by the end of the century. Our goal is to limit that warming well below 2 degrees and aim for less than 1.5 degrees. So we have some drivers of greenhouse gases that we can look at. And here we have what is called the chiagraphs. And you can see that they have the titles of global population, GDP per capita, energy intensity of GDP, the C intensity of final energy, which is the megatons of CO2, and the CO2 emissions from energy. And using the En-ROADS climate simulator model, you have 18 types, 18 levers that can be proposed to affect future warming. So in the chiagraphs, these graphs show the drivers of carbon dioxide emissions through our global energy consumption. And this reflects about 2/3 of all greenhouse gas emissions. The other third of emissions are from land use changes such as agriculture and deforestation, and other gases such as methane and nitrous oxide. So the global population is growing. We're now at 7.8 billion, and we're predicted to be about 11 billion by the end of this century. The GDP is growing per capita, mainly because of countries such as China, India, Brazil. They're attaining higher standards of living, and that in turn has an effect on the global warming. And then we have the carbon intensity of primary energy, which is the amount of carbon dioxide emitted by energy use, and it's dependent on our energy mix. In the baseline scenario, carbon intensity is expected to be level as both low carbon renewables and fossil fuel energy use grow at about the same rate. So the carbon intensity would trend downwards if we shifted away from fossil fuels and towards low carbon energy sources. And if we multiply all the 4 factors together, you can see how the overall carbon dioxide emissions from energy is growing each year and what it could be by 2100. And these factors explain in simple terms why emissions keep going upward in the baseline scenario, that's business as usual, and the improvements in energy efficiency and decarbonization are not keeping up with the strong growth in population and energy consumption. So those are the chiagraphs. So we have the main graphs here. And what are the uses of energy? Let me see, let me go back to resetting. Okay, how do I go backwards? Maybe I can undo. Nope. Okay, I can stop the share and I can go back to another window that I have. Just patience, please. Okay. And I'll get that screen larger. All right. So here we have the burning coal in these. You can see coal and oil, as I said, in these colors. And renewables are in green. And they're growing very quickly, approaching 2100, but still they have to compete with the fossil fuels. So that's a basic overview of the En-ROAD simulator. Are there any questions at this point? And you can put your questions into the chat and I'll stop sharing my screen right now if that's okay, or should I leave the screen on? What do you think, Sue? You're muted, Sue.
Yes, I would say you could leave it up just for a minute. I wanted to ask one question, and that is, you had the GDP, and I'm not sure that everybody knows, everybody who's watching would know what GDP is. Could you
Okay.
explain that?
Absolutely. That is gross domestic product. So that's how much a country makes in a year overall, from exports, from products that stay within the country, etc. It's how much a country makes in a year.
And our goal to date has always been more, right?
Right.
And
I've
so
said that
that's
growth is the only thing that matters. And there are many people who now want to redefine gross domestic product to encompass the well-being of people. So it's more about how wealthy in terms of well-being a country is, instead of just wealthy in terms of money.
Yes. And I think I've heard something about a gross national happiness quotient. Yes.
Right. Yeah, that's another way to put it. Thank you.
Check
Yes.
and see how well everybody is doing in this system.
Right.
So yeah, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay. So we are meeting here today to discuss solutions and create scenarios for a better climate future instead of the baseline that we just used. So I would like to ask participants, and you can reply into the chat. No, sorry, that's where our breakout rooms are. In a breakout room, I would like you to discuss how you have been working over the past 5 years to lower carbon emissions and help prevent future climate change. As well, have you seen any trends around, like in your community, in your country, in your county, in your area, that would help you with that? If needed, you can talk about these trends as opposed to just actions. So think about items that your actions seem to fit within. For example, renewables or coal or transport energy efficiency. If they don't fit, could you just make a quick note of them and we can discuss them? And I will ask Callum if he could please set up breakout rooms of about 3 to 4 people. And you'll get 5 minutes if you could do that, please, Callum. And do I need to stop the share on that?
No,
Yes.
but I just wanted to mention that we only have one guest right now, so if you want to do it as a group here.
Ah, okay. Okay. And I see there's something in, okay, you've said that in the chat. Okay. Okay, we have one guest. So, and that's Kimberly. Hi, Kimberly. And Callum, do you want to be part of this as well?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So in your breakout rooms, in our breakout room, our main room, can we discuss how we've been working for the past 5 years to lower carbon emissions? Does anybody have anything to discuss with that?
Well, I can start
Sure.
because I know that I've been aware of the need for this. And so I've been seeing what I can do as an individual. And some of the actions that I take are things like, actually, I did this for years and I'm not doing it lately. So I'm reminding myself that what I want to do is hang out my clothes instead of using the dryer. I've also stopped driving so much that I ended up selling my car because I live next door to my daughter. And when I hardly ever go anywhere, I can borrow one of their cars. And another thing that I'm doing is helping to educate people so that they can reduce their own carbon emissions.
Wow. Thank you, Sue.
I can go. So over the last year or two, I've been trying to reduce my plastic use. So I have bamboo toothbrushes, and I try to not buy food that really comes in packages as much as possible. And I also try to turn off the lights whenever I'm done using them. And I've gotten the whole household to do it through annoyance of just yelling at people to turn off the lights. But I unplug my whole office when I leave for the night, turn off all the lights, try not to use anything during the daytime. I have them on now just because it's storming here and I can't really see too well. But that's something I've tried to do. I'm trying to shorten my showers as much as possible and use less water, make sure everyone in the house shuts it off. And something that is not the prettiest, but I try not to flush the toilet every time. Um, and something my teacher last semester called it was if it's yellow, let it mellow, which means don't flush the toilet if it's a number one. So I've been doing that for a couple years and I've gotten the whole household to get onto that. And like Sue said, I've just tried to educate people about climate. Like Esther, I am a part of Citizens Climate Lobby. So I work with them and try to do things through there with their different communities as a diversity fellow.
Okay. Thank you. That's wonderful. I'm wondering if you can put any of those things into any of our 18 levers, Callum. And I'll give you that little challenge while I go on to Kimberly, unless Kimberly would like me to go first.
Yes, I'm just, I'm in the big, using public transportation. I don't use my car that much. I had an opportunity this last weekend. I flew on Southwest Airlines and took the bus back, Greyhound, and these are the two transportations I wrote to. Southwest Airlines doing renewable resources in their airplanes. So it felt good flying up in Southwest when I wrote to them. So that was something. And Greyhound bus, I took the bus back, and so I knew they're working on their renewable resources. So I guess I'm what's the word? I'm practicing what I preach.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're walking the talk.
Yes.
That's lovely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I guess I can go next. I, like Sue, have chosen not to have a car. And I walk everywhere in our little city of 9,000 or take my bicycle. And I did have an electric car up until about 8 months ago. And up until about a year and a half ago, I guess. But I had to put it into layaway over the winter because I couldn't make it to Winnipeg, where my daughter lived, on one charge in the wintertime. And so when time came to renew it, I thought January, I've been 7 months without a car, and look, I'm still alive. Maybe I don't need a car. So for the last year, that has been true. I have not had a car at all. I have wonderful friends. So if I do need to go someplace, which is very rarely, maybe once every 4 months or so, I can borrow a car, and it's been really a wonderful thing. Um, so I would think that that's my biggest contribution to lowering GHGs. Thanks. And Callum, I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on?
Yep, so I put some in, put a little bit higher on renewables towards the good end higher. Energy efficiency increased for transport. Like you and Sue mentioned, driving. I lost my license a couple of years due to the medical issue, so I haven't driven since about fall of 2019, which is good for the planet. So I haven't had to drive my car or anything. So I put energy efficiency there. Deforestation just moderately reduced just towards education that I do with it. Where I live in Northwest New Jersey, a lot of the houses run on natural gas and oil. So we still have gas stoves and everything here. And that's how we get our hot water and everything. So we haven't reduced that yet, but we're looking to get a new stove. So hopefully I can get an electric one. And then carbon pricing, I put up a little bit through my education with CCL and educating others. And I did reduce it a little bit to 2.7 Celsius, but just seeing even with changes that people can do, it's still not reducing a ton. And just seeing that we need to actually make real changes. Not that people switching away from plastic and using reusables isn't going to not help, but not people necessarily need to do more, but a lot of these are on corporations too. They're going to be the big energy pushers and the ones using the oil and natural gas, and they're the ones who are financing pipelines and fossil fuels. So even if a bunch of individuals do stuff, if these massive corporations are still pumping out a ton of CO2, those numbers aren't going to change.
Right. Yep. So I wonder where we can put the use or the lowering use of transportation. So would that be in energy efficiency or electrification? Those are the only two. So what do you think?
I would do energy efficiency since the electrification description talked about more electric cars and whatnot.
Okay. All right, let me click on this. So, and let me get this out of the way. Okay, that didn't work. I need to move myself out of the way. Okay, maybe that will do it. Good. Okay, so energy efficiency of new transport. So right now it's at 0.5%. And can you all read this part in here?
Yep.
Okay. So I see public transport in here that Kimberly mentioned.
It would help me if you could read it out loud.
Sure.
Thank you.
Increase or decrease the energy efficiency of vehicles, shipping, air travel, and transportation systems. Energy efficiency includes things like hybrid cars, expanded public transport, and ways that people can get around using less energy. Adopting more energy efficient practices can improve public health and save money. So we've got it at 0.5 here. Give me a number to put in here and let's see what happens.
So is that the amount of change that we are going to see? What is that 0.5?
Yes.
What does that mean, percent?
That's a very good question. Let's see if I move this lever and put it up to 1.1%. Okay, so it lowered this a bit, I think. Let's see that again. Yes, it lowered that a bit. So that would mean that we have put more energy or more electricity, say, into, we have bought more hybrid cars, we have expanded public transport, and we have done all of these things up to 1% per year starting in 2021. Does that help?
Yeah, I'm going to say, what if Kimberly keeps writing her letters to all of these companies
Right.
and they start saying, well, yes, she's right. And we really need to double that. So let's go to 2.0.
Let's go to 2. Okay. So you see the change here, down 0.1. And
Notice
we started in 2021. Do we want to keep this at 2021? I don't think I can go backwards. Let me see if I can go backwards. Oh, maybe I can. No, I can't. Okay.
Well, we're
So that
starting
has-
now. Let's
Yeah,
start
that's
there.
brought us down 0.1. Okay.
Okay,
Are we good with that, everybody?
sure, why not?
Okay. All right. And Callum, you talked about talking to people about deforestation. So right now we're at a high level of deforestation. So if I take that, let's see. So reduce it by, what would be a good number here that we can reduce it by starting this year?
I think realistically, we could probably do 0.25 to 0.3 a year.
Okay. Let's see what that has done. So I'm sorry, I have to reduce that. So that has taken this down to 6.3 now Fahrenheit. So is this enough, or should we? And
More.
would you like me to read this part as well?
Yes, please.
Decrease or increase the loss of forests for agricultural and wood product uses. Deforestation often entails burning and removing forests to clear land for crops like soybeans, corn, or palm oil. Forest protection efforts increase biodiversity and can support community resilience. So is minus 0.3 enough, or should we increase it, or what are your thoughts on that?
I'd like to go for 0.5,
Right.
or I'd like to go for 50%. But
Okay.
that's pretty overly ambitious. But
Okay.
What would happen if we did 50%? Just all of a sudden, everybody said, "Oh, we can't do this."
Okay. And starting in 2021.
Yeah,
Okay. So it has not moved this a lot. Oh, enter a value.
it doesn't look that
So
value.
I have, okay, so
0.5, 0.5, I guess it would.
0.5. Okay. How's that? So it didn't reduce much here. Okay.
If you use -5 instead of -0.5, it should stay in the value range and be that 50%.
All right. Thank you for that. Okay, this reduced by 0.1 Fahrenheit.
Thanks, Callum. We needed that.
Yes, we needed that. Thank you for doing that. Okay, so not no movement here, and 0.1 Fahrenheit. So
I
is
saw
there-
I saw the other one was afforestation.
right,
Can we try
right,
that one?
absolutely,
We're talking about doing a trillion trees project.
right.
We're supporting the United Nations initiative.
Yes. So plant new forests and restore old forests. As trees grow, they draw carbon out of the air, which reduces the concentration of carbon dioxide. However, without care, large-scale afforestation can compromise biodiversity and historical land rights. So we have a percentage, we have a year, and the time to secure land for afforestation, taking into account biodiversity and historical land rights. So if we go up here, what would be a percentage that we would like to use for afforestation.
Hmm. 10%,
10%,
12%,
12%. Okay. And what are we starting this year?
please.
Okay. And how much time will we need to secure the land for afforestation? So
So that means that if I were to start today, I wouldn't own enough property to plant on. And
you
so
wouldn't,
we
you may
need-
not own 12%, but overall there might be 12% globally available for afforestation and biodiversity. But for 100%, there may not be. So we have, this has gone down by 0.1 here. So if we say, if we reduce this, if we reduce this to 5, I wonder what would happen. Not much. Okay. So, oops. And so if we make this 15, I wonder what would happen. Again, not much. So, should we leave this like it is, or do we want to change something on here?
Anybody?
Anybody? Kimberly, Callum?
Maybe increase it to 15%, see what it does.
Okay. Nope,
Not much.
not much. Should we try 100% and just for fun, just to see what it's
Yeah,
like?
let's see that, yes.
Okay, it's reduced this.
Ah.
Oh, look at that, yeah. So we
So-
got a lot of work to do.
We've got a lot of work to do. So do you want me to leave this at 100% here?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody else is good with leaving this at 100%?
If we don't need to be realistic, that's fine.
Yes. So what do you think? Should we leave it or?
I would say 80%. How's that?
All right.
Because
80.
you have to figure that there's always going to be naysayers, right?
Right. And that has left that unchanged. So
Good.
is everybody good with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a reasonable goal, yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Was there any other levers that anybody talked about in here? Okay, so
Under buildings and industry, energy efficiency, I believe, is for home use, reducing energy in the home.
so it's increase or decrease the energy efficiency of buildings, appliances, and other machines. Energy efficiency includes things like building well-insulated homes and reducing the amount of energy factories use. Energy efficient practices can save money through reduced energy needs, as well as improve the health of people in those buildings. So we've got an energy efficiency of new buildings is 1.2 per year, 1.2% per year. So that's how much it's improving per year. The start year is 2021. And the rate of buildings in retrofitting is 5% per year. So are we okay with leaving this at 1.2 or should we change it? What are your thoughts?
Let's put it up to 10%.
10%.
Because we got,
Oh, a value between, okay.
1 and 5.
So,
What does that mean? 1 and 5?
between -1 and 5. That's a very good question. Let's put it at 5 and see if we can figure it out. Okay, wow,
That brought it down. Mm.
that certainly did. So at 5%, so from 1.2 to 5% per year. So if we do lots of retrofitting and building well-insulated homes, et cetera, up to 5% per year globally, that's what we can reduce it to. And are we good with the start year being this year?
Yes.
Okay. And then the
I
rate.
got us, there's a song for that. You
Tell
ready?
us. Yes.
We're on a planet that has a problem. We've got to solve it, get involved and do it now, now, now. We got to live, build a better future. And we need to start right now, not next year.
Then I think you've answered my question. Thank you. Musically. Okay. And now the rate of buildings and industry retrofitting. So improving insulation, et cetera, those kinds of things. We've got it at 5% per year. Should we leave it at this or?
Here's what I think is going to happen. That,
Okay.
you know, we've been on this, everybody's been aware we need to do this, but it's just been staying pretty level, but it is starting to go up. And I think that the exponential, like all the charts, for example, that Al Gore uses, it's every single one of them is boop. I think the healing and recovery is also going to happen like that. And
Okay.
so I want to see things starting to happen exponentially right now.
Okay, let me move this lever a bit. At 14%. Okay, and didn't see a lot of movement there. Let me move it. Okay, it's just moved down to 2.9 at 18% a year. Is that enough exponential growth, Sue?
That's pretty good. That'll do.
Okay, all right. So are we okay leaving this lever as it is?
Yeah.
Okay, Callum, you're okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so we've looked at 1, 2, 3, 4 levers. What would be another lever that you would like to look at? We haven't looked at anything over here in the energy supply, whether reducing coal and oil or increasing renewables, etc. Does anybody have anything to say about those?
How about increasing renewables?
All right. So we have renewables with a tax subsidy. So this is carbon fee and dividend. And Callum, you'll know about that being a CCLer.
Can somebody explain, please?
Sure, I can. Coming from Canada, we have had a price on our carbon for a year now, over a year. And last year on our taxes, we got a rebate. We at CCL have said, this is not good enough. And so starting next year, we are going to receive checks, whether it's automatic deposits or checks in the mail quarterly. And so we have a carbon fee of $30 a ton right now. And the government collects this money and then gives back 90% to individuals. And the other 10% goes to what is called MUSH, which is municipalities, universities, schools, and hospitals, because they're not individuals, so they don't receive the individual checks. So they are given back fees to offset their costs. And does it really offset the cost for MUSH? We don't know. There have been a few studies done that would indicate that the people that are in the lower and middle incomes individually are better off than they were with no carbon pricing at all. They get more back than what they spent. And the people who use the most of the resources, which are the wealthy, do not come out ahead. So does that help?
It helps. Can you explain where you said that you put a tax on carbon, but who's paying that? Who pays the tax?
The tax goes on to the fossil fuel companies who produce the gas and oil, and they in turn, of course, pass it on to the consumer. So at the gas pumps, you will see an increase in price, and that's because of the carbon pricing that has happened in Canada.
And the tax goes to the government, but the government gives that tax money back to the people. And in Canada, it would be quarterly coming up, not yet.
That's right.
And you're saying that that money that people receive back is actually more than the amount that the price of the gas, for example, has gone up at the gas pump. Yes?
That's exactly what I'm
So that-
saying. Thank
So
you.
that they're getting a little more than they would normally.
Right. That's
And they're still able to carry the help to carry the cost of using fossil fuels at all. And
Yes.
so what is there on our levers that we can do to help really reduce the amount of carbon fossil fuels that are being used at all? What if we could just get to where we're not using oil or gas or coal or any of those? Can we show that on your levers?
I don't know.
Would be that far left column, right?
It is in here. We did start with, I did have the renewables up.
Okay, we didn't do that yet, right?
We didn't do anything with that yet. No.
Okay, let's do that.
So this is encourage.
Jumping ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this is encourage or discourage building solar panels, geothermal, and wind turbines. And I would say too that the efforts that are along on the ocean, the coastal regions to harness the power of the tides is in there as well. Renewable energy includes wind, solar, geothermal, hydropower, so I guess that's hydropower, and other technologies that produce energy with little to no carbon dioxide emissions or air pollution. Note that nuclear and bioenergy are considered separately. So in Canada, we have $30 a ton. Now these are long tons, and in the States you have short tons. So I think Dr. Doug Pritchard has said that this is about $47 in your dollars and in your tons. So would you like me to put, can I put, let me see. Let me move this lever. Okay, so it's, oh, this is subsidizing renewables. Okay. So where would you like me to put this? Minus 0.01.
I don't know what that means.
So the renewables get a subsidy. So 0.01 per kilowatt hour. Would you like me to increase this more than 1 cent?
What you're saying is that the government will pay money for what?
Right. For renewables up to 1 cent per kilowatt hour.
And so if I put solar panels on my house,
Right.
the government would give me 1 cent per kilowatt hour.
Right.
How would that, what would that look like in a real house for a month?
I'm not sure.
Asked.
I am not sure of that.
This is a quiz.
Yes. And the answer is, I don't know.
Right. So actually what we can do is make up questions that go with each of these
For
scenarios.
sure.
Yeah,
For
make up
sure.
little stories about who's doing what, right?
Yes. I love it.
That would be
I love
fun.
it.
Yeah.
Yes. And so do you want me to leave this at minus 0.01 or like,
Sure.
okay.
Let's make it a little higher.
Okay. How about there?
That looks good. Okay.
I just want to see if that's done anything Fahrenheit.
You didn't do nothing.
No, not for Fahrenheit either. So
But it's moving this one on the bottom.
that's right. That's right. It's
Okay.
moving this year. Yeah. Okay. And it starts in 2021. Okay. And the has the renewable subsidy stops in 2100. So at the end of the century, are we okay with leaving that there?
Yep.
Okay.
Do it while we can.
Right. And then we have the renewables research and development breakthrough cost reduction. So that's the percentage that the research and development breakthrough suddenly reduces the supply of the energy cost storage. So let's see if that does anything. That has reduced this by 0.1. So do we want to leave this at 17%? Do we want to?
Let's have a giant breakthrough, really big breakthrough.
42%.
Okay, I like that.
This has reduced this 0.1 and this has reduced. Let me see. Let me go back for a minute. Yeah, it reduced it. Yeah. So if we leave it at 42%. And the breakthrough year they have is 2030. Do you want that later or do you want it sooner?
I need it sooner.
Okay, let's go 2025. Has that changed anything?
Not changed. Huh?
No, it's not changed anything. So do you want me to leave it at 2025 then?
Yes.
Okay.
I like that.
All right. Okay. And you can see
You know why that's true? Because these young people who know that this needs to be done are coming up into the time when they'll be affecting these changes, and they're going to go through the roof.
Yeah. Yep. And so this is the current scenario. So we're coming up here, and I could make that even higher if you think it should be. That would be here, I think. But we could leave it. What is your wish?
Somebody other than me.
Callum or Kimberly?
I think that's good.
I guess we can leave it, yes.
All right. Okay.
Can I just bring in that we got a note that Shannon, who is watching, I guess, on Facebook, did some math for us, and she says if you use 1,000, what was that, kilowatt hour per hour,
you would get
you would get
$10.
$10. How
All
about
right.
that?
Thank you, Shannon.
In a month.
Wow.
All right.
It's good to
Thank
have
you.
some math people. All right. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levers that we've looked at. What's the next lever that anybody would like to look at?
We talked about economic growth. Let's go there.
Okay. Okay, assume higher or lower growth in goods produced and services provided. Economic growth is measured in gross domestic product per person and is a key driver in energy consumption. Alternatives exist to meeting people's needs through economic frameworks, not based on constant GDP growth. So if we're going to have 1.5% per year, and I don't know if that's the norm, I would suspect because of the scientists that have done this research. So do we want to leave the growth at 1.5% per year? Do we want to decrease it or increase it?
Maybe increase it to see what it says.
Okay, increase it to what?
Wow.
Try 3. It never likes my numbers.
No, it never does. Okay, how about 2.5? Ooh, look at what happened here.
Went up.
Oh, it went back up. So we don't want to keep growing.
We don't want to increase.
more and more and more and more stuff.
All right.
No.
So can I put a minus in front of here then?
Please,
Yes.
let's slow things down a little.
Okay.
Doesn't
So,
like that either.
enter a value between point. Okay, that's because I can't put a minus. So how about
Maybe 0.5.
5? Okay. Yes, but this went down to 0.2.
So that went down.
It did, yes. But that's really reducing our gross domestic product.
So
And-
that would take kind of a a super change of mind and heart.
Absolutely.
And I would like to believe that's possible.
Okay. So you want this left.
I like it like that.
Okay. So this is long term. How about near term? And we've got 2.5. So low growth would be down this way and high growth would be up this way. Short term. And we can see that the transition period is 75 years here. So we could think about these two things. So what would we like? Do we want to change this to anything?
We want to lower it, don't we?
Okay.
Yeah.
To what?
You name it, Kimberly.
I don't know, 2.0.
Okay. Ooh, I brought it up.
Oh, that,
No,
so
it
that's
went
not-
down.
No, wait down. Sorry, I'm sorry because we went down this way. Sorry. Yeah, it went down point one. So we're getting there. And how about the transition time? Do we want to leave this at 75 years?
Do it now, now, now. Let's go faster. Let's go 40 years.
40 years. Okay, that's down another 0.1 Celsius here. Okay, are we happy with leaving those things the way they are in there?
Yes.
All right, so we've got 2, 4, 6 levers that we've looked at. And only one over here.
Yeah, let's get rid of some coal. We burn coal for I'll tell you a story.
Okay.
Yesterday, my daughter came to visit, and there are now 6 cousins in our house, 15 and under. And every time somebody would come or go, they would leave the door open, and the
Ah.
air conditioning is just pouring out. The mosquitoes are pouring in. And so I kept saying, close the door, close the door. And I finally asked my 15-year-old grandson, could you please explain to them why it's important to close the door? He says, because it wastes our air conditioner. The air conditioner has to work harder. I said, yes, that's right. And how does that affect our planet? He didn't quite understand. And so I said, well, what does that air conditioner use for its power that it's burning? And he says, electricity. Yes. And where does our electricity come from? And the power plant over there. And what do they burn to get the energy? It's coal. We burn coal in this county, and a whole lot of it. And so what if we were to upgrade those renewables? That would downgrade the amount of coal that we have to use. So the more renewables, the less coal. So we've already upped the renewables, so let's skew that coal way down.
Okay. Let's see. So very highly taxed. Did it do anything? Let's see what the details are. So we've reduced the tax, we reduced the subsidy. If I do coal,
Oh, I see. So this is the subsidy. Yeah.
right, or the tax. So this is can you see here? It says very highly taxed.
Mhm.
So it's $91 per ton. I don't know what that means.
CE.
TCE per ton of coal energy. I don't know. I'm making that up.
Could
Do you
be.
know what it is, Callum?
The only guess I had was per ton of carbon emitted.
Ah,
Ooh,
right. I
that
think you're
sounds
right.
good.
Yep. Yes, per ton of carbon emitted. I like that. Okay. And we've got this starting in 2021. Are we okay with that?
Yes.
And then it goes up to 2100. Are we okay with leaving that at 2100?
Stop here.
Yeah, that's when
Yeah,
you
we
stop
don't
taxing coal.
need it to stop. We want to keep doing it.
At past 2100.
Well, can it go more than that?
I don't know. Let me see,
Make
2120.
it 20.
See what it is. Yeah, it can go to 2120.
Let's go to 2300.
Okay, it has not changed this at all. but I-
Okay.
So do we want to leave this at 2300?
It's up to my teammates.
So I guess since it didn't change, I guess leave it at 2100 then.
2100. Are you okay with that, Callum?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, and we have, you can see how coal has gone down and until 2100. There's hardly any coal left. And yes, oil has gone down and renewables have gone down as well, which is interesting. And bioenergy. So everything has gone down because of this lever. Because we're discouraging mining coal and burning it in power plants. Now, I think it is worth it to say that if that coal is the most harmful fossil fuel in terms of carbon emissions, as well as in air pollutants that cause severe health impacts. So it's a dominant source of energy globally, however, because it is relatively cheap to mine and transport. But it causes huge problems, not just GHG emissions. Okay, so we've looked at renewables and coal over in the energy supply. Is there anything else? And we're down at 2.4, and this is from 3.6. So we've made significant progress.
Let's get rid of some oil, please.
Okay, yes, okay. So very highly taxed, that brought us down to 2.3. Higher than that, Sue?
Well,
We can go.
keep going. Not 100%. I mean, we're going to go exponential
there?
to there. Yes. What do we got?
Let's take a look. We're still at 2.3. So we're highly taxing it. And this is $75 per barrel of barrel of, I'm not sure.
Barrel of energy.
Barrel of energy?
I don't think so.
Maybe not. I have to
They should explain those on the description there.
It says discourage or encourage drilling, refining, and consuming oil for energy. Oil is a fossil fuel that is used widely in cars, ships, and planes. It is also used for industry, heating, and electricity. Access to oil has sparked major conflicts, and oil spills can threaten ecosystems and water. So it doesn't, I know it's per barrel of something.
BOE is barrel of oil equivalent.
Of oil equivalent.
Ah,
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's taxed at $75 per barrel of oil equivalent. Thank you, Callum. And we want it to start in 2021, do we?
yes,
At
please.
$75. And how about the stop year? It's
No
20
need to stop.
Okay, so 2100 or make it higher.
That's fine. 2100.
And the percent of oil, the percent reduction in oil utilization. So right now we have no percent reduction. So how much would you like this reduced? Our oil. So if I drive an electric car, I don't have oil changes.
Okay, and Kimberly is writing to all of these transportation people that are going to reduce and reduce and reduce. And so I would say we want some exponential reduction here. And I'm ready for 60%.
Okay, 60% has brought us down to 2.2.
Woohoo!
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And we want to start that in 2021?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so this is the baseline scenario, and this is what we have proposed. So it's going to plunge here and then keep going down and down and down and down. until we reach 2100.
Okay. I like to see that.
Are we good with that?
Yes.
All right. Okay, where do we go to next? We want-
Shannon would like us to check out the methane, which is over on the right.
It is. Okay.
Ask Shannon if she'd like to come in the Zoom with us.
Yeah,
I
that'll be
think she said that she's just watching when she
right.
originally had done.
all right.
We appreciate your input, Shannon.
Yes, Chicago. Okay, methane and other gases, or some people say methane. Decrease or increase greenhouse gas emissions from methane, nitrous oxide, and the F gases. Methane is released from sources like cows from their burps, not the other end. Agriculture, natural gas drilling, and waste. Nitrous oxide comes from fertilizers. The F gases include sulfur and hydrofluorocarbons and PFCs and others that are used in industry and consumer goods like air conditioners. So we want this, right now this is the status quo, and we can increase it this way or decrease it here. What would you like to see it do? I would imagine reduce it.
Yeah,
So,
reduce it, yeah.
okay, to what?
Well, I think everybody's going to start going vegan. When
I'm a vegetarian.
when our whole world goes vegan, we won't have as much of the cow methane.
Right.
And of course, everybody is reducing all of those things. So, okay, let's go. What do you say, gang? About 60%? Can we reduce it 60%? Oh, too much.
How about
Janet.
50, how about
Or minus.
50%?
How about a minus? How about a minus in here?
No, I don't think it.
Oh, there we go. Down.
And
to
can we test out only reducing by 25% to start? Shannon's asking. See what it does.
Right. So that has brought it down to this point
Oh,
one.
okay.
From 0.2.
So start small.
Okay. And so where do we want to do this? Do we want to do it with agricultural and waste emissions? So this is our landfills and things like this. And why can't, because I have to do this. And, or energy and industry emissions or other greenhouse gases, and that we need a start year. So, oops. So, how much for do we still want to have 25% in here from energy and emissions? Or, sorry.
Sure.
25% here. Okay. And, intermodal minus 25%. Okay. And how about agricultural emissions? And landfills?
I think that could probably be higher than 25%. A lot of people
50%?
are changing their diets, and waste management is looking to change.
Okay. What would you like?
50%?
50. Great, that brought us down to another 0.1. And we're okay to start that in 2021. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we're happy with that. We're almost down to 2 degrees. Okay, let's see what else we can do.
Natural gas is one that's important for reduction.
Okay. And a lot reduction, a little bit reduction. What do you think?
Realistically, probably like in the middle, like a 50% range.
Like here?
Yeah.
Okay. And,
We
yeah,
did it.
2.0. Let's see what the details are. So discourage or encourage drilling and burning of natural gas for energy. Natural gas is a fossil fuel that is used for electricity, heating, and industry. When burned, it releases carbon dioxide, although less than coal and oil, and If leaked into the air, it contains high amounts of methane. Natural gas drilling uses large amounts of water and can cause contamination. And it also uses fracking, which has a bunch of problems. So we've got it at highly taxed at 2.2 something. I have to get these acronyms down. So Callum, any thoughts on what MCF means?
Google is telling me it is, I think, metric cubic feet.
Aha, got it. Thank you. Okay, and do we want to start that in 2021?
Yes.
Okay, and stop it in 2100?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we won't, but we'll say that for now.
Okay. And how much reduction in how much we use?
40%.
Wonder if I have to do minus 40. No, it said the reduction, so. Okay, that brought this down 0.2, I think. And the start year is 2021. Are we good with that?
Yes.
Okay. And we're going to keep using gas until 2100, or do we want to change this?
And beyond.
Okay, we're going to we're going to reduce it until 2100, and then we're going to stop reducing it in
No,
21.
we won't stop then.
Okay, do you want this to be earlier?
No. I want it to be the year 3000, but it probably won't let you do
Okay.
that.
All right. No, probably not. So we're good. We're okay with that?
Okay.
Okay. And the year to stop building new gas infrastructure, we've got 2025 here.
2023.
Right?
Oops.
Too many threes. Okay, that didn't change anything here. And the methane leakage rate. So if we reduce that,
1% will allow.
okay, oopsies. 1%. Okay, this stayed much the same. And this has changed to pretty much nothing in 2100,
Yay.
instead of rising in the business as usual scenario.
Good work, team.
Okay. All right. We've got a few levers left.
The carbon price, what's that?
Okay, that's what we talked about that we have in Canada, and your government is talking about that right now.
And CCL is lobbying for that.
Absolutely. So
Citizens Climate Lobby.
that's right. So what would we like the carbon price to be in 2021?
What are you paying now in Canada?
Well, it's $30 per long ton. And I think Dr. Doug Pritchard said that's about $47 in your short ton.
Okay, then let's make it $75.
75. Okay. Down 0.1. And it's starting in 2021.
Yep.
That's what your government is hoping?
Now. Yep.
Yes. And years to achieve initial carbon price. So I wonder what that means, the initial carbon price. So set a global carbon price that makes energy sources more expensive depending on how much carbon dioxide they release, or enact a clean electricity standard or emissions performance standard. Energy producers could pass additional costs to their consumers, so policy must be designed to minimize the impact on the poorest, which is what the dividend does. So let me move this lever and see if we can figure out if that becomes clearer. Okay, this has that has increased this one a little bit. So let me see what happens if we,
Yep. I believe it's the years to probably enact it, to actually get it going.
oh. Okay.
Well, let's make it 3 years. You gotta hurry.
Okay, that reduced it 0.1. And the final carbon price, adjusted year to start below. So what you want it to start at 75, and what is the final carbon price do you want? Ours will be $140 a long ton by 2025 or 2030, I've forgotten.
I want it to be, it was how much?
You had it at, you have it here, up here at $75 a ton, starting off. And what is your final carbon price, do you think?
$1,000 a ton.
I wonder if it'll let me do that. Oh, I guess it will. Oh, no. 850. You just-
850. That'll
Okay.
do.
Okay. Okay, this is still the same. And the year to achieving this, 2100, or do you want it sooner?
Sooner.
Okay. What year?
2150.
2050?
21,
No, 2050 is right.
2050, yeah.
Okay, that brought this down a little bit here, but this is the same.
Look at the chart at the bottom. What
I
is that?
see this, yes. So this is carbon pricing. Okay, are we happy with those things?
Getting
Yeah.
us there, getting us there. Yeah.
Okay, now this is not in the high range yet, I don't think. Or is this the high range? Maybe it is high.
Let's go higher.
Okay,
Make it 100.
okay, that stayed the same. So we need 0.4 to get us below 1.5. So can we leave this here now, or do you want to change anything?
Everybody okay there?
Yes,
Yep.
Hey,
All right. So we've got a few left. We haven't looked at carbon renewal or removal, sorry, carbon removal.
oh, okay. You know what I think of when I think of technological carbon removal is some big sculptures of trees that just suck up CO2.
And you know, when you say that I kind of remember reading something like that about a
They-
long time ago.
They exist. Yeah. They
Okay,
have parks with them, made with them.
wow, okay. So
I
we
don't know
have
where.
pull carbon dioxide out of the air with new technologies that enhance natural removals or manually sequester and store carbon. Carbon dioxide removal technologies include direct air capture, bioenergy with carbon capture and storage, biochar, and others, but not including oil or gas, coal or gas, CCS. Carbon dioxide removal is not yet used widely, and most approaches face significant barriers to deployment.
I'm thinking of my friend Charlie, who has a goat farm,
Mhm.
and he has pastures like in a grid, and he moves his goats in a very steady pattern from one pasture to the next. And when they have eaten all the grass and done all their poop in there, then he puts them into the next one, and he goes back and puts down more of this particular seed that he uses to sequester all of the CO2. And he just says his goats are a CO2 sequestration system.
Yep. And that's also called restorative agriculture, because he's restoring the land to what it naturally did for millions of years until we started plowing.
Yeah.
So the percent of maximum potential. So we're down at 0. What should we say is our percentage that we would like to see?
What do you think, Kimberly?
Maybe 40%.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay. So, yeah, okay, we're still at 1.8, but that's okay. Okay, let me use the detailed settings. So you can see that afforestation is going up, 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 up as we plant our trillion trees. And so bioenergy carbon capture and storage. So we want things that will take the carbon out of the air and store it to, what is our maximum? Do we want to go for 40% here as well?
And let's see what 40% says. Yes.
Okay. Down
Oh, it
0.1
went down.
here.
Ooh,
And we're starting this year, are we?
yes, of course.
Yes.
Okay, and then we have direct air capture. So I think that
Okay.
might be your sculptures of trees.
That's one. And I saw an ad that Exxon has out. I haven't seen exactly what it's about, but they are partnering with somebody that does this direct air capture, but I don't know what it is or how it works. Anybody know?
No, I don't. You'll forgive me if I'm skeptical if it's Exxon.
Well, I'm hopeful that all of these companies that know full well that they're causing problems are working on solutions. And so I say, yay, let's do it.
Yep. One of the things that happens when Exxon, for example, says, yeah, we're going to fund carbon capture is then they can say to governments, we're working on carbon capture, so we're actually reducing our carbon footprint. And then hoping that they can then avoid the reduction in use of fossil fuels.
So I'm going to say yes, and
Okay,
they're
all right.
both happening, but it's
right.
still a good thing
Sure,
to get some of that CO2 out.
for sure. Yeah. So what percentage?
Let's try, I guess, 40% to see what it says.
Again. Okay. Okay, no change
No
here.
change. No.
Do we want to start in 2030?
2025.
2025. Okay, still no change here. Now, enhanced mineralization. There are some minerals that will take carbon dioxide out of the air. So, and that's part of carbon capture. So what do we want to do with this? 40% again here.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, this is down
Got
another
it
one.
down. Yeah.
And we want to start in 2030, or do we want to change?
2025.
All right.
Hurry, hurry.
Yes.
It's a race against time.
Yep.
Okay, now agricultural soil carbon sequestration, like your friend the farmer is doing. What percentage?
40.
40 here again. Okay, that has stayed the same. And we want that to start now, which it already is, because
Yes.
my daughter
Sure.
is also farming using restorative practices.
Beautiful.
And we have biochar. And I have forgotten. Callan, can you help us out on what biochar is? Because I didn't make a note of this, sorry.
So
Yeah.
you got it?
Biochar is a charcoal that is produced by pyrolysis of biomass in the absence of oxygen. It is used as a soil emollient for both carbon sequestration and soil health benefits. It is a stable solid that is rich in carbon and can endure in soil for thousands of years.
Wow,
Well, I'd give that 40%.
okay. Okay, down another one. That's where we wanted to go.
Yeah, went down.
And
yeah.
2021,
Sure.
you wanna
Yes,
leave that there? Okay. So are we good with all of these things under technological carbon renewal?
Yes.
yes.
All right. So can we get it down below 1.5?
Let's do.
Okay. Where would you like to go? We have a few levers left.
We might as well deal with the population.
All right.
Yeah, that's a,
Okay, so 10.9 billion people in 2100. So we can increase that or we can decrease that. So what would we like to do?
I heard something very interesting about all that, because there's one fellow who is saying, so what if it takes 11 billion of us to become this new organism of the new human family? That if we stop before that, we won't get to what would be our reality if 2100, I mean, 11 billion,
Okay.
right? And so he's saying, you know, just consider that maybe we don't need to stop it. Maybe we want to keep going, just like when, like brain development, you know, when you get to a certain level, boom, you're able to do new things, right? And so he's saying, don't leave that possibility out.
Okay. So given that, do you want to change this?
I'll keep it.
Okay.
How does anybody else feel?
Do you
yeah,
want me to-
10.9, let's see what it says, yeah.
Sorry, say that again.
10.9 sounds, well, I guess it depends on what's going to happen, yeah.
Now it says there are steps like women's education and access to family planning that have been shown to accelerate shifts to smaller families, which would slow population growth. So I think that anytime that we have women's education, it's always good.
Yes,
That's what I think. Okay, so we want to leave this here.
I think it could probably be reduced a little bit just because a lot of people in my generation aren't having kids or planning to have kids.
Right.
And if they are, they just want 1, 2 kids max.
Right. All right. So what should this be, Callum?
We're at what, 7 right now?
7.8.
Yeah, almost 8.
I would go like 9.5, just an in between.
Okay, 9.5. Okay, that hasn't done much here. Did it do anything for the Fahrenheit? Yes, it brought the Fahrenheit down 0.1. So are we good to leave that there?
how about what, we could just see what it says for 10.9. Yeah,
Sorry, say again.
we could see what it says, put it back to 10.9 and see
Right.
what it does.
So this goes up 0.1.
Oh, it goes up, oh, okay, so I guess
That's-
9.5.
Okay, so 9.5. So this goes down 0.1 Fahrenheit. Okay, we're good to leave this?
Yes,
Okay. Okay, what next for? We have electrification here that we haven't looked at.
yeah, maybe the electrification and high-speed rail.
Okay, so that's here. Okay, look at that, road and rail. So increase purchases of new electric cars, trucks, buses, and trains, and possibly even ships and airplanes, which they are now making. Using electric motors for transport helps reduce greenhouse gas emissions and air pollution if the electricity is from low carbon sources like solar and wind. So we've got 2021 here, and we could change this and say how much electrification in percentages of new transport, road and rail, and maybe this is 2025, I don't know. What is a good percentage?
Well, 40%.
40%? Okay, and by what year?
I guess 2025.
25, okay. Okay, that hasn't changed anything there.
Doesn't change at all.
No. And electrification of new transport. So this is airplanes and ships. I wonder if that's going to do anything. And what percentage of airplanes and ships will be using solar and wind for their power?
40.
40 again. Okay. And nothing's changed here. And this is, they said by 2030. Do you want to change that to something else here?
Faster, faster.
2025.
All right.
5. Okay. And nothing's changed in the temperature, but other things.
Oh,
have-
it didn't take that value.
No, it did not take that value. Somewhere between, okay, 2030 is the soonest year. So I'll do that. Now, one of the big advantages to having electricity, electric cars, etc., is that they're so quiet. So if we had most of our transportation electric, we would be able to hear the birds even on a busy street.
Yes.
Okay, so are we good with leaving this the way it is?
Hey,
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Okay, so we have a few left. We have bioenergy and electrification and nuclear and new zero carbon.
Kimberly, why don't you do some electrification over there?
Right in here.
Yeah.
So electrification, all right.
All right. Increase the use of electricity instead of fuels like oil or gas in buildings, appliances, heating systems, and other machines. Using electric motors only helps reduce emissions and improve air quality if the electricity is from low carbon sources like solar and wind. So we've got 2021 and so we probably have to increase this a bit. So give me a percentage and a year.
40%.
Okay. And the year?
Next year.
2022. Okay, hasn't moved this much, but this is really accelerated here. All right. So we've got these three here in this area that we haven't looked at. Callum, do you have any thoughts?
Bioenergy would be interesting to look at. I know in the States we don't use that a lot.
Okay. Discourage or encourage the use of trees, forest waste, and agricultural crops to create energy. Bioenergy is energy produced from the burning or combustion of living organic materials such as wood, algae, or agricultural crops. There are a variety of bioenergy sources, some of which can be sustainable and others which can be worse than burning coal and compromise food security. So, and again, we have this barrel of oil equivalent. So do you want me to just play with this lever a bit and see what happens?
Yes.
Okay, let's go this way. I don't see anything happening here. Let's go this way. And I don't see anything happening there. So I don't know. Should we do anything? I've got this coming down to almost nothing because it's not being subsidized. And we can see that everything is going down here by 2100. Hopefully the renewables go down because we're using less of everything. We discovered how to use less of everything. And you can see that coal is almost nothing and oil is almost nothing, and bioenergy is faded right out to almost nothing, which is what we're looking at right now. So what is your wish here?
Do taxes or subsidies benefit the population in any aspect, even if it's not going to benefit the climate?
I don't know the answer to that.
I guess if that was a possibility, like carbon taxing, it would still be beneficial, at least to the population wellness wise. Even if it's not going to change temperatures.
So is this taxing? This is taxed. Okay, so if we go to $10 taxing per barrel of oil equivalent, and what year would you like this to start? Oh, are you okay at $10?
Yep, 10's fine.
Okay, and what year would you like this to start?
Probably 2025, like the rest of our stuff.
Okay. Okay. So. Okay, so we've got nuclear and new zero carbon.
There's nuclear.
Okay. Encourage or discourage building nuclear power plants. Nuclear power production does not increase carbon dioxide, but it produces waste that have to be managed for centuries. That has to be managed for centuries. So this is taxing it. So do you just want me to play with this lever a bit?
Yes.
Okay, so if we tax it a lot, because it doesn't emit carbon or anything, it's kind of neutral. And
It just is a matter of storage. That's the problem.
yeah, exactly. And so breakthrough in the cost reduction, I wonder if that does anything. No, because it doesn't emit any carbon dioxide. So what would you like me to do here? If anything.
I have no opinion on this because it's not making sense to my mind.
Okay, it's because it does not release carbon dioxide that has very little effect on this.
So it's a good thing, but it's just a matter of the storage part.
It's the waste that has to be
Yes.
managed for centuries. And
Yes.
what do we do with that? What do we do with the radioactive waste?
Where they have special storage capacities, but it's a commitment of people who want to do it.
Right. And eventually, if we go to a lot of it, we're going to have a lot to deal with in future centuries. And so,
Or potential problems.
right. And then there's leakage and that kind of thing. So
nuclear is not a good idea.
do you just want to leave it like it is right now?
We can we reduce it? That would be taxing it some, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't have any effect on this because it does not release carbon dioxide.
Okay, but that would be fine to,
Right. So is that good?
yeah,
0.05 per kilowatt hour. Okay.
Okay.
And start this tax in
now.
Okay. And then when do we stop subsidizing nuclear?
Are we
Or
subsidizing, taxing?
sorry, stop taxing it. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
It's 2025 or something.
25. Okay. So that has done this to it. And then how much percentage is there going to be a breakthrough? At some time, there's going to be a breakthrough in the cost reduction of nuclear. So how much would that be?
Let's do it 40%.
Okay. And what year is this going to be a breakthrough? Is 2031 going to be okay? And that's when it starts really rising here. The use of
Wait a minute. What are we doing? I'm not understanding what we're doing.
what you're doing is you're building nuclear power plants. So that's what we're doing here.
But we're taxing them, so they're going to be less
Right.
incentive to
Right.
build new ones.
Yes.
They're going to say in 2031 that, oh, look, it's so much cheaper to build nuclear now that we really want to start building nuclear. But we're saying, but our 7th generation, please, let's,
Mhm.
so I'm still not clear on what we should say in terms of numbers here.
It's a complex problem.
Yes.
Callum, do you have any light to shed on this?
I don't know too much about nuclear energy. But since the rate we use at 2031 is probably a realistic time to actually get these things going.
So are you happy with what we've got here so far?
Yep.
Okay. And Sue and Kimberly, you're okay with this?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we'll make do with what we got there.
Yes. Okay. Okay. And Shannon, if you have something to add in the chat, we'd be pleased to hear from you at some point. All right. So the last one, have we done them all now? New zero carbon. So do we want to look at this one?
Oh, yes, please.
All right. Discover a brand new cheap source of electricity that does not emit GHGs. Some speculate that such a breakthrough could be nuclear fusion or thorium-based nuclear fission. However, there are unknown risks associated with any new energy supply. So decide when the breakthrough occurs, its initial cost relative to coal, and how long the delays in commercialization and scale up would be. So we have a new carbon breakthrough. Let me go to the details. So in 2100, so that's now, do you think we'll have one in the 6 months that's left in this year? Will we have a new zero carbon breakthrough year?
I think somebody is working on that as a science fair project, and it's going to be happening real soon.
Okay, so we've got 2100 here. So real soon is what year?
2025.
Okay. Okay, and the time to commercialize. So the research and development has said, yep, we can do this. So how many years before we can buy, like get it into the business model?
Maybe 5 years.
So 5 years, so that'll be 2030. And the initial cost relative to coal. So do you want me to just play with this lever a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, so 6 times the cost of coal, or the same as coal. Yeah, it doesn't seem to reduce anything right now.
But you have to click off of it, right?
Well, normally when I do this, so it hasn't changed anything. Or even when I do this, and it still hasn't changed anything. So do we want it more expensive than coal or less expensive than coal?
Less.
Okay,
Less.
so a 1 here, the same as coal, or 0.5 of coal, or what would you look?
0.5.
0.5. Okay. Okay, and that is what we've done. So we've looked at all of the levers, and we're at 1.5.
Well, team,
Yes.
we made the world safe
Safer.
for safer for
Yes.
human
Yes.
species and all the community of life on Earth.
Yes.
Yes. And so part of this workshop is that we would like a reflection of 1 minute. And in that minute, we talk about future scenarios for our climate, and we spend a lot of time focused on how bad the worst case future looks or how difficult change will be. Instead, I'd like for us to spend just 1 minute silently considering the possibility that we could create a better future. So as we do this, we can think of something that we would just love about being part of this sort of future. And I have thought about this, and one of the things is the silence that is in traffic, and I can hear the birds and everything. So that would be something that I would just love. So if we could just have 1 minute of reflection without speaking, and think about that, please. All right, that is 1 minute. Do we still need this, the levers up, or can I stop the share?
And stop it.
There we are. How nice to see you all again. All right, so I'd like to talk about how we feel about having gone through this exercise and this experience, like so glad or sad or scared or uplifted or hopeful, or how are you feeling about this experience? And I will say that I feel very uplifted and very hopeful. And it's been a real pleasure going through this experience with all of you, and I love your enthusiasm and your energy.
Yeah, this is hopeful because the planet is burning up. Look all around us. We have to do something. California wildfires, even in Nevada. And right now in Arizona, there's wildfires. So something has to be done. So just thank you, Esther, for showing it can be done. The change, it's going to take a global village.
And that's us.
That is us.
Would anybody else like to share how they feel about having gone through this?
Let Callum go first.
All right.
Yep. So I think it was hopeful and kind of sad at the same time that a lot of the labels said like high tax, or like the percentage we were picking was high, when that just seemed like that we were picking like the hopeful bare minimum. We weren't even doing anything extreme most of the time, and yet it was considered high, which makes it sound like it's going to be kind of hard to get those things to happen. But I think it's hopeful in that like it is possible to do something and not completely destroy the planet, and that there are a generation of people coming up that are going to make it happen one way or another, even if the older generations don't want to get on board.
That's me too, Callum, that I feel like by giving, this is a tool that I think can give a lot of people, it gives me hope that confidence, it gives me confidence that we really can do this. And we know what needs to be done. And as more and more people feel like it's not this huge, overwhelming thing that's impossible, but it's something that if each of us gets on the stick here and we can get the singing and the dancing and the storytelling going, that we can play this like a game, and En-ROADS becomes a game that we can play to make sure that in real life we are able to keep that 1.5 degree goal that was set at the Paris Climate Conference in 2015. And I want people to know that, yes, it is possible to achieve all of the Sustainable Development Goals by the year 2030, which will make all of this so much easier as people really get on board and want to make these things happen. That the moment that I was imagining for what I really want to see is when my great-grandchildren and say thank you to me and their moms, and their, to me, I would be the great grandma, to their grandparents, who would be my daughters and their husbands, to their parents, who would be my grandchildren now that are between 3 and 15 years old. And I want them to be able to say, whew, thanks.
Like the book that that I sent you with the dad reading to his son.
Yes,
yeah.
There's so many wonderful resources.
Yes.
That's part of our storytelling that we're trying to do through I'll just mention again, the Climate Collaboratory, that is a pilot project of We the World and the University of Florida Extension. And we have established the groundwork now and the storytelling systems for telling a community-wide climate conversation to action story, so that we are helping everybody, facilitating everybody getting on board and making this, we're on the road to 2030, 2050 and beyond, making a sustainable, just and peaceful. So I thank each of you for coming today. And Esther, this has just been a wonderful experience. I feel like I've learned so much, and I've gained such insight into what it will take for us.
Okay, we're not done yet, though.
Oh,
We've got a little bit left.
Okay.
We've got a little bit left. So
right.
I want to read you this quotation about hope. Hope is a choice not hinged upon an assessment of the likelihood of future success. Being hopeful is about choosing to prevent this huge problem every day, not because it's about winning, but because it's the right thing to do. So one of the last things is the call to action. What can we do? So think of one thing that you feel particularly called to do after this experience. So I can give you some time to think about this, or maybe you have something. And I can go first if that's okay. So another thing that I feel called to do is to write more letters and be more politically active with my my MP, which is my member of parliament, with my MLA, which is my member of the Legislative Assembly for provincial, and to really speak up more about when I hear an opportunity, and this is like one-on-one as well as maybe in a group, that I will speak up more.
Yes, I like the idea of getting involved in the legislature, putting the pressure on our elected leaders to implement policies for climate change. That's what the California legislature's doing. The Elders Climate Action Northern California Southern Group, we're very much involved in the California legislature. Put the pressure.
Nice. Very good.
Thank you.
Ellen?
Yep. I think for me, besides working with legislation, is to learn more about agriculture and its effects on climate. Because where I live, it's mostly farms and state forest up here. So agriculture is a big part of people's lives here. And I think it's in American culture in general, and educating not only the public about how that can affect climate change, but giving farmers actual ways to work towards like regenerative agriculture and stuff instead of just telling them what they're doing is bad. And also to help that with deforestation around the world. That's one of the biggest reasons for deforestation. And that's also affecting wildlife and causing a lot of species to come to the brink of extinction.
In the chat, I'm going to put in 3 films that I found particularly helpful. So one is called The Biggest Little Farm. And Kimberly, that's in your area. And it's a story about a couple that gets married, and they know practically nothing about farming, but they want to farm using restorative practices. And it documents them over 7 years and their ups and their downs. So they have for example, they have a fruit orchard, nectarines, and then the snails invade. Billions of snails. French chefs everywhere are drooling. Oh my word, snails. But they figure it out without using chemicals or any kind of pesticides or anything. And then the gophers come and they infest the place, but they figure it out. It is most hopeful. So The Biggest Little Farm, and 20, I'm putting it in the chat.
Okay,
2040 is a film made by an Australian film director, and 2040 is the year that his daughter will be 21. And it's about what we can do. And then the other one is called Kiss the Ground. So if you can get access to those, The Biggest Little Farm is on Netflix. And I'm not sure about the other 2. I think Kiss the Ground is on Netflix as well. And I'm not sure about 2040. But if you can watch any of those or all of them, I found them so uplifting, so inspiring.
And there needs to be scientists to be more elected be elected in government. Because right now we don't have enough scientists in government. And that's why things are lagging behind. So if somebody can get elected to whether local, national, or federal, that should help, because scientists that can get the ball rolling. Most of the people in government now are politicians. They're not really scientists. So
A lot of lawyers, at least in Canada.
yes.
Yes, yes.
So
All right.
for my thing that I would like to see is I want to put all of this. I want to put this En-ROADS climate simulator into our storytelling adventure, so that we can really put this into the hands of young people who are in fact the ones that are driving us into the new reality. And we have to empower them in every way we possibly can to make good decisions and give them the tools and resources, like all these books and movies and things that, you know, we have been seeing, and we need to pass them on in a way that works. So, you know, part of our community-wide climate conversation is having lots of people with lots of book study groups and movie nights, and let's talk about this, and just really have a climate conversation that takes us all into action for a sustainable future.
And Callum, I'd like to ask you, as someone from the generation that's coming up, do you have any ideas how we can best support you?
I think one of the big things I hear from people, especially even younger than me, I'm 23, is just actually listening and trusting that they do know what they're talking about. A lot of the younger people are saying that people are saying, oh, you're not old enough to understand this. You don't know what you're talking about. And a lot of these kids are doing a lot of research and taking classes on this because they're scared. They have echo anxiety and echo grief as 12-year-olds. So our generation does know what they're talking about, just because we're not 40, 50 years old. And we've still lived through the effects a lot, and we have firsthand experience, especially Black, Indigenous, people of color communities, low income communities who are feeling the disproportionate effects. We really need to listen to them and the youth there that are trying to get their voices heard but aren't being heard because they're not middle class white kids.
Okay. So listen, listen, listen. All right. Well, this has been so wonderful for me. I'm so thankful for all of your participation. You were such willing participants with such good ideas, and you were so patient with me as I went through this. So I really appreciate it. I surely learned a lot about hosting a workshop like this. So thanks again.
Thank you, Esther. You did wonderful.
Oh, thank you. You're very kind, very gracious. All
Really
right.
a wonderful experience. I just thank you all so much for being with us. This kind of collaboration and learning experience as we go. You know, we're all new at doing what we're trying to do here. So we're learning together. Collaboration is the key to what We the World is all about. We are learning to go from a me society to a we society, where everyone, the way we're putting it in our storytelling adventure is that we're going to make the world work for 100% of humanity and the community of life on Earth.
Yes.
And so we will invite you all to collaborate with us as an individual or an organization. You can go to we.net/partner, or you can go to the climatecollaboratory.org. And on there, there's a button to say, join the movement. So come on in and let's play together. Our network includes over 30,000 leaders and members of socially conscious organizations and businesses, and we're all learning to work together.
Yes. Yes, wonderful. Thank you so much. And if Shannon is still there, Kikawapaminowa. And so what I said is, see you soon.
All
See you
right.
again.
Thank you, Esther.
Okay, thank you. We'll see
Thank you
soon.
all for being here. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Callum, for your tech help.
Indeed.
Okay, bye-bye.